Joining me right now is former Assistant Director of the FBI himself, James Kallstrom. And Jim, it was great to see you today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Nice to be here.
You and I have done a lot of work together and spoken for a long time in the last couple of years about Jim Comey leading the FBI. First, your reaction to what took place yesterday and your reaction to Jim Comey.
I think a big exclamation point on what I've said earlier. You know, he just wasn't cut out to be the FBI director. He wasn't strong enough. And when it really counted, he didn't show really a lot of common sense or any kind of intestinal fortitude. You know, the FBI director is there as sort of a beacon, a lighthouse to make sure the public is not being basically hit by criminality, hit by criminal syndicates, you know, standing up for the public. He's not a card to be dealt in some political game. And Jim Comey, you know, his whole career, you know, what has he done? I mean, he got a criminal referral passed to him from Justice with some kind of communication that you can't call it an investigation. And you can't have a grand jury. I mean, in that day, when that happened, he should have stood up and resigned as the director. Like Madoff had to know someday, you know, this thing was going to end. He had to know what's going to happen here. So He conducts this false investigation without a grand jury. There's so much evidence laying around that he came up with this prosecution memo. The Attorney General meets with President Clinton on a plane. He didn't write a memo about that.
No memo about the tarmac.
He didn't write a memo about this business of you can't call it an investigation and you can't have a grand jury.
No memo about Loretta Lynch telling him, don't call it an investigation, call it a matter. We just learned that yesterday.
Right.
Nothing in a memo about that.
And he apparently wasn't that perplexed about that. You know, that didn't get him to run home, you know, like a little schoolboy and write some memo. Shutting down the Clinton Foundation investigation, I don't think there was a memo written about that, to my knowledge.
No memo there.
The IRS investigation, which, you know, is very personal to me. I know some people that were really, really aggrieved by the IRS. You know, never mind the hundreds and hundreds of people applying for 501c3s and 501c4s. They were treated like dirt.
The IRS is a law-abiding agency. When you get a call from the IRS that tells you we're auditing you, you may have broken the law, you're afraid of jail. They weaponized the IRS to start targeting conservatives. He did nothing about it.
They did nothing about it, and to my knowledge, no memo. He said he didn't write any memos, right?
In fact, the leader of the IRS, John Koskinen, is still running the IRS after targeting conservatives. That's a whole other conversation.
And he's the guy, in my opinion, that perjured himself numerous times before the Congress, and nothing was done about that.
So what else do we know about Jim Comey? Let's go through yesterday, because one of the things that we found out is that Trump was not under investigation. He told Trump privately 3 times, you're not under investigation. However, he failed to say it publicly. Why? Why not? Why not say it publicly?
I think in the final analysis, Jim Comey was a political animal. I mean, what I just talked about, I mean, where he sort of played along, danced with the devil is the term I've used, you know, with the Obama administration on all these things. There was never a special counsel appointed, right? And by the way, what about the unmaskings, which I think is going to be one of the biggest scandals in the United States?
Totally agree.
No mention of it at all.
Doesn't even come up.
Yeah, where do they think General Flynn's name came from?
What the heck is going on with the senators, even on the GOP side? No question about obvious criminality that we know of?
No question.
Unmasking?
No questions at all. And about the leak investigations, where are they? Where is this investigation going?
Now, we know Jim Comey admitted yesterday that he leaked documents, classified information. He gave it to a professor friend so that the professor friend could give it to the New York Times. No recourse. He just says, oh, yeah, I leaked.
Well, I think that just points to his total...
They were not classified, these memos. They weren't classified because they were his personal memos, obviously. But regardless, he leaked it.
Communications with the President of the United States, in my view, back when I was in the Bureau, those are all classified. Those are classified documents.
So you think they were classified?
Those are government documents. He came back and he dictated to himself a government document. And, you know, he leaked it.
He said that the New York Times published fake news. He had a few things to say about reporting in the New York Times, which about the potential collusion between Trump and Russia. He said it wasn't true at all.
Yeah, it just points to all the, you know, the double talk that he's been going through for the last year that's confused the public. I've had people come up to me, you know, in shopping centers that recognize me from being on with you or other people, ask me, what the heck is going on? What is this stuff? You know, he hasn't been clear about anything. And the nonsense when he had that press conference. Never mind the fact he's not the Attorney General and shouldn't make that decision. Never mind that he shouldn't read the prosecution document out loud if you're not going to indict somebody. But at the very end, when he says Hillary Clinton had no intent, because she didn't know what was going on. She didn't realize that she was exposing classified information.
But she was the Secretary of State, the First Lady of America, as well as a New York Senator.
Yeah, the First Lady flying around looking at all the NSA encrypted devices.
Do you like Christopher Wray, real quick?
I don't know Christopher Wray.
Okay.
I looked quickly at his background. He seems very competent. I had hoped that somebody who had a long career in investigations would be appointed the FBI director.
Do you think yesterday was a victory for Donald Trump, real quick?
Oh, I think without question it's finally clear that he's not under investigation. Yeah. And it's finally clear to me that this is all basically fake news.
Jim Kallstrom, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Thank you so much, James Kallstrom.